Hello and welcome to Non-Sequitur News for May 6th, 2025. This is a Time Machine episode. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. This is Season 4, Episode 126, by the way. I run ohmtown.com and I use it to manage my information overload, and you can too. Go and sign up right now. It's really easy. There's no advertising, no nothing over there. It's just a couple of lines and you're signed in and you become a citizen. Then go over to Twitch and YouTube. You're probably watching this on YouTube. If it's after 60 days, maybe you find it over on Twitch. We stream every day, typically at 7 p.m. unless I have mayoral duties that keep me away. That's this case. There's also the podcasts. There's 6 podcasts that are weekly and 1 that is a daily. That's Non-Sequitur News. That's this. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. That said, let's get into it. So we're going to talk about Termite Terminator, Pepsi not in top 3, Bumblebees prefer yellow, arrival of earliest known pet cats, a rarely seen Banksy, a giant Sequoia grows in Brook. No, wait, it's growing in Detroit, and a 400-foot Ferry powered by 275 tons of batteries. It's good for the ecosystem, sure. Sea creature fact check. A green fireball over western skies, which is the first album on my cover band. And something crazy in the neighborhood. And that last article, that the green fireball, that's not true. Anyway, everything's powered by ohmtown.com. All right, let's get into this. The very first article is over in the Mobile channel. This is where we aggregate a bunch of stuff into, right? So we have 50 channels, 6 of which have been turned into weekly shows. 1 is a daily show. A recently discovered Termite Terminator is better, more targeted, and won't harm humans because all it wants to do is kill termites. Drywood termites, the ones that hide in wooden structures, molt about 7 times in their lives. At UC Riverside, researchers have found that a chemical preventing them from growing new exoskeletons will also end their infestation of your home. Dun, dun, dun. This is gross. It's over at phys.org. Jules Bernstein from University of California, Riverside put the article together. There's a picture here. For those in the podcast, there's a picture of a termite. A bunch of termites. Blech. Anyway, the chemical bistrifluron and its ability to kill about 95% of a termite colony without off-target effects on mammals are documented in a paper published in the Journal of Economic Entomology, which basically means there's 5% left. It says kill about 95% of termite colony. If it doesn't kill the queen, anything surviving is the strongest of the strongest, which means, oh boy, nothing bad will happen. So the chemical is more environmentally friendly than ones traditionally used for drywood termite infestation, says Nicholas Paulus, a corresponding author of the paper and a doctoral student at UCR's Department of Entomology. It's specific to insects and can't harm humans. Challenge accepted, I'm sure. As termites are getting ready to molt, sometimes something they do in order to grow, they also produce chitin to create the new exoskeleton. Bistrifluron prevents them from growing that or producing chitin. It's chitin, but anyway, at least as far as I know, it's always been pronounced chitin. But once termites reach a certain age, they have to molt. They cannot avoid it. With a lethal dose of the chemical, they try to shed their old exoskeleton, but won't have a new one ready to protect them. So they basically lose their protection and then suffer from the environmental effects. It's been successfully used on subterranean termites, which are also important structural pests. I don't know about important, annoying as hell. But native western drywood termites are also important, especially in California. As the termites eat the treated wood, they also spread the chemical to other members of the colony. Yikes. Full collapse happens in about 2 months, which is slower than other methods, but carries certain advantages in addition to lower toxicity. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So the chitin synthesis inhibitors show promise as a localized treatment for drywood termites. There was a person that posted a picture of a spreading what looked like fungus or mold was actually exposed to be termites, and oh my god, that would freak me out, because they said it was one of the other redditors that was reading it said that it was a decidedly very dangerous breed of them because they're very aggressive. So it says that we saw significant differences in the death rates using insecticide alone versus the insecticide plus pinene, said Cho. Pinene, we got about 70% mortality, and with it added in, 95%. Pinene is is a pleasant smelling chemical released by forest trees, reminds the insects of their food, and they follow the scent to wood treated with insecticide. Interesting. Let's keep going. This next article is over in the Mobile channel as well. We aggregate it from a bunch of different sources, but we don't screen scrape. It's all provided by them. Pepsi no longer America's top 3 sodas. It's a good day for Coke fans everywhere. In a new report, Beverage Digest found that Pepsi is no longer ranked in the top 3 of the sodas, according to Daily Mail. Coke takes the top spot, it says, by a wide margin, more than double that of any other of its rivals. In places 2 and 3 are Dr. Pepper and Sprite, respectively, per the outlet, which is pretty fascinating because Coke is a distinct taste, different from Dr. Pepper, and Sprite is decidedly different from the other 2 as well. So interesting. I guess Coke really has crushed it. The former soft drink accounts for 8.3% of all canned soda sales, while the latter is responsible for 0.03%. So what, somewhere around 25% is nothing but those 3. Is that what I'm getting? Oh wait, well, I don't know what the top one is, so let's see what the percentage for the top one is. It has more than double of any of its rivals, so at least 16%. Anyway, Paige Gawley over at Vice.com put the article together. Pepsi in comparison is only 7.97%. So where is they don't actually say what the Coke's margin is, for crying out loud. It just says 8.3 for Dr. Pepper, 8.03 for Sprite, and more than double the 8.3, I suspect. Interesting. And then Pepsi is down to 7.97. It says we're focused on building the Pepsi brand, which includes options like zero sugar and flavor innovations like wild cherry. I'm actually drinking a Coke. What is it called? Orange cream. That's what it's called. All right, let's keep going. Right now, as a matter of fact, I'm drinking orange cream Coca-Cola. So why bumblebees prefer yellow flowers to red, and why it matters for biodiversity. That's over in phys.org. John Inez Center put the article together. And 2 species of red mimollusk or monkey flowers, normally pollinated by hummingbirds, have unusual yellow flowered populations at the edges of the ranges. Some years ago, scientists examining wild plants in the western corner of the United States encountered a curiously colorful sample of biodiversity. And the researchers found that these rare yellow forms seemed to be favored by pollinating bees, but there was little information as to why. So the aim was to explain the genetic and biochemical basis of the color change and to investigate how traits such as floral color, scent, shape may have evolved. I've always seen these little pictures of like ultraviolet light pictures of flowers, because that shows what the insect sees, I guess. So they do indeed prefer yellow to red flowers and were twice as likely to visit them. The study also found that both types of flower or yellow morphs had increased scent emission, which could reflect selection from pollinators such as bees, which use scent to forage, unlike hummingbirds. The interesting thing about this is they're basically describing evolution. So Bumblebees were ill-fitted for the flowers, causing damage while attempting to access nectar and poorly contacting floral organs, which would be a hindrance to efficient pollen transfer. So it also sheds light on the order in which floral traits may evolve in a pollinator shift, and how mutations of larger effect, in this case color, might precede smaller changes in scent and morphology. Well, because if there is a change in morphology and scent, it's going to be bound by the earlier trait modification or evolution. So if it changes its color to yellow dominantly, whatever was in the gene pool for scent and shape are going to be dragged kicking and screaming along as well. So the study showed that some of these changes were indeed convergent, the yellow morphs resulting from an increase in the production of carotenoids, red, orange, yellow pigments, which were increased using the same genes in both species. Other traits had emerged independently by separate means, for example, red pigment regulators and floral scent compounds. So even though these species are closely related, they have followed different paths to the same endpoint for many of their traits. Well, it's because they're from the same source. And as we branch out, it's different strains, essentially. Pretty interesting. The next article is over in Mobile. Spanish shipwreck reveals evidence of earliest known pet cats to arrive in the United States. 2 felines, one adult, one juvenile, appear to have been cared for by sailors before the vessel sank in a hurricane in 1559. Sarah Kuda is a daily correspondent over at Smithsonian Magazine or SmithsonianMag.com. And according to a new study, the cats are beloved members of families, with 73.8 million of them prowling and purring their way around 42 million American households. But it isn't always this way. Domestic cats are relative newcomers to the Americas, kind of like the honeybee isn't a native to the United States. There's different kinds of bees, but apparently Native American bees were kind of shit for honey generation. Anyway, we benefit from European honeybees. Take that. Anyway, they described their findings in a new paper published in the journal American Antiquity. 466-year-old Spanish shipwreck near Florida, which are likely the earliest known cats. In the holds, they discovered the remains of these 2 house cats. The remains were found among the wreckage of the Emmanuel Point II, a Spanish ship that sank in 1559 near what is now Pensacola, Florida. The vessel was one of 11 ships that sailed north from Mexico during an expedition under the command of Tristan de Luna y Arellano. The conquistador's fleet was anchored near the Spanish settlement of Santa Maria de Ochus when a hurricane swept through, causing 6 of the vessels to sink and another to be driven inland. So the researchers discovered 3 of the expedition shipwrecks, and the cats were stowaways. Says they were likely, though the cats may have been stowaways, they were likely brought on board intentionally to help keep rodents at bay. Along the way, they probably also became chummy with the sailors. Yep, good hunters are good for the ship. A Spanish cookbook from 1560 includes a recipe for roasted cat. While cat skeletons from medieval sites across Europe often bear cut marks, suggesting that they were skinned for their furs or butchered for their meats, IFL Science's Tom Hale says, unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case here. Or fortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case here. So cool. Genetic testing confirmed that the cats aboard the Emmanuel II had European ancestry, but hey, don't we all? The next article is over in the Marvel Channel. Rarely seen Banksy mural preserved on a 7,500-pound section of a warehouse's wall goes on display in New York. I'm going to jump right to the source. I am running out of time. I have to get out of here. Mayoral duties. So, A Battle to Survive a Broken Heart features a red heart-shaped balloon covered with bandages. After spending a decade in storage, the artwork will head to auction on May 21st. Sonia Anderson put this article together for SmithsonianMag.com, Smithsonian Magazine. The driver turned out to be Banksy. In the fall of 2013, a contractor named Vasilios Georgiadis was smoking outside his warehouse in Brooklyn's Red Hook neighborhood when he noticed a van parked on the street. Georgiadis advised the driver to move to the warehouse driveway where he wouldn't risk being hit by passing trucks. The driver turned out to be Banksy, a mysterious graffiti artist famous for murals like Rage, The Flower Thrower, and Girl with Balloon. The next day, a painting appeared on Georgiadis's warehouse wall. I'm not sure why that's so hard to say. It featured a red heart-shaped balloon covered in Band-Aids. The Georgiadis family later cut the mural out of the wall and placed it in storage. 10 years later, wow, that is that takes some stones. Look at that. It's the actual brickwork. Is that just, oh my God. Seems like a lot. Anyway, they heard he was going around putting up pieces all around the city. So they cut it out. When Banksy painted the mural in 2013, he was working on a project called Better Out Than In throughout New York. Anastasios recalls that he had recently applied a fresh coat of paint to the warehouse wall. I guess he saw an opportunity. So there it is, folks. Protected on the outside by an acrylic wall bolted to the brick wall, which must be reinforced or something. And the story is that somebody came along and tagged the work afterward, and then Banksy came back and touched it up. Banksy wrote, "Is a jealous little girl," as Anastasios tells Hyperallergics Isa Farfan. According to a statement from Brooklyn Place, this incident is the only time Banksy has ever been known to rework his art, though the artist has modified his creations in other ways. There's more over at this article over at Smithsonian Mag, so go check it out. The next article is over in Mobile as well. Giant sequoias are taking root in an unexpected place, Detroit. Sarah Kuda, once again, put the article together for Smithsonian Mag. We've got a few Smithsonian Mag articles today. So apparently, giant sequoias are taking root, typically found in California, Sierra Nevada mountain range, where they reach heights up to 300 feet. Now, however, with help of conservationists, the world's largest trees are spreading to new places. In Detroit, arborists are planting dozens of giant sequoia saplings in a blighted area in hopes of creating an urban forest that will clean the air, provide shade, and overall improve residents' quality of life. Yeah, that's sometimes frowned upon. The effort started in 2020 and 2021 with the planting of 20 in 2020. Stop it. On private property and vacant lots owned by Arboretum Detroit. It continued late last month as volunteers convened on Earth Day to plant roughly 100 additional saplings. So there's not another urban area that they know of that had the kind of potential that we do to reforest. So, says Andrew Birch Kemp, goes by Birch, very into trees. We could all live in shady, fresh air beauty. Yeah, disrupting the natural progression of things. I don't know if that's actually good. But we do it because we're human, and we're apparently the dominant species on land. At least until a tiger comes and finds us. Nicknamed Stag for short, the tree is the 5th largest in the world. The other, known as Waterfall, had the largest ground perimeter of any giant sequoia, 140 feet, before it was killed in 2020 wildfire, reports MLive.com's Justine Lofton. So the clones were developed by experts with Archangel Ancient Tree Archive, which traveled to California to gather the tree's cones, new growth clippings in 2010. The group is working to propagate and preserve the world's old growth trees. Old growth trees planted new, or new growth trees. Anyway, the next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. This 400-foot electric ferry is powered by 275 tons of batteries, and its manufacturer calls it a giant leap forward for shipping. I'm going to jump straight on over to the source. Whoa, that's huge. So it's just a ferry. Incat's vessel featured a 40 megawatt hour battery, the largest energy system ever installed on a ship. Incat, a Tasmanian-based manufacturer, said that the 400-foot-long hull 096 vessel, the biggest electric vehicle ever built, runs entirely on battery power. How much does it... How can it survive long enough? There's no way that this thing can stay operational. Okay, let's just see. So it powers 8 electric-driven water jets supplied by Finnish tech firm Wärtsilä, which partnered on the project. The ship changes the game, says INCAT chairman Robert Clifford. We've been building world-leading vessels here in Tasmania for more than 4 decades, and Hull 096 is the most ambitious, most complex, and most important project we've ever delivered. Yeah, it's huge. The vessel also features a 2,300 square meter duty-free shopping deck, the largest retail space on any ferry worldwide so far. How long does it stay operational, though? It says 40 megawatt hour battery, but how much? What does its draw? I don't know. How long does it stay operational? How long can it go? You know what I'm saying? Delivers over 40 megawatt hours of capacity, 4 times as large as any previous maritime installation. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. 13 fact checks featuring real sea creatures you have to see to believe. I won't make a lot of time on this one. Joey Esposito over at Snopes put the article together. It says from majestic, the deck statement says, from majestic glass octopus to slimy giant horse conch, marine life can be fascinating. And they're basically writing that AI generated videos and images are basically ruining the truth, I guess you could say. And it's happening at an astonishing rate. And so they say the need to fabricate fake species should be unnecessary when one considers that more than 80% of the Earth's oceans have not been explored, according to National Geographic. And they go through 13 fact checks about various things that have been reported through Snopes historically. So is this glass octopus real? Does this photo show a real life SpongeBob and Patrick? There's a sponge and a starfish, and so on. So go over and check that out. The next article is a green fireball spotted over western skies. Never seen anything like this. Hundreds of people reported seeing a fireball over western United States, especially over Utah, where it was exceptionally large, bright, and green. So hundreds of people reported seeing the fireball over several western U.S. states, especially over Utah. Brook Baitlinger put the article together over at phys.org. And there's a video of this. I'll hit play, but mute it. There it is. So it looks like it dropped behind a mountain range. Never seen anything like this. I've seen shooting stars, but nothing like this. And the intensity of the brightness. Pardon me. Sorry about that. So there was a flash at the end of the extremely bright trail. Looked like an explosion. That's basically what it was, as the meteor probably disintegrated. It may have been part of the Eta Aquarids. That's not Aquarids. Meteor shower, which peaks in early May each year. Maybe it might have been a larger specimen of the meteor shower debris as we pass through it. Rains down on us. It says the green hue could have been nickel, a very common metal to find in objects that are from space. Could have been copper as well. But it says the Aquarids are meteors that are known for their high speed, according to the agency NASA. So pretty cool. And the last article for today, the May 6th, 2025 episode of Non Sequitur News, is in Technology Today, one of our shows. The Webb Space Telescope spotted some of the crazy happening in the neighborhood at the heart of the Milky Way, actually. And the article is by Daniel Strain, University of Colorado at Boulder, published over at scitechdaily.com. And according to this, new images from the James Webb Space Telescope reveal never before seen details, including bizarre filaments and energetic protostars. Scientists now believe powerful magnetic forces are reshaping this stellar nursery, delaying its demise, but not for long. Sagittarius C is one of the most extreme and active regions in the Milky Way. Located about 200 light years from the supermassive black hole at our galaxy center, this dense, cloud-filled zone is packed with gas and dust. Over millions of years, parts of this material have collapsed under gravity, giving rise to thousands of new stars. And in a new study, they say it's unprecedented detail of Sagittarius C, because they used the James Webb Telescope. The research was led by astrophysicist John Bally from the University of Colorado Boulder, along with Samuel Crowe at the University of Virginia, Ruben Fredriani at the Instituto de Astrofísica de Andalucía in Spain. So they're referring to these little bands and stuff that you see, filaments as they call them, threads. The team discovered that powerful magnetic fields appear to thread through Sagittarius C, creating long flowing filaments of hot hydrogen gas. Hot hydrogen gas in a far-flung neighborhood. Waiting to be, never mind. Structures that resemble strands of spaghetti. These magnetic forces may be slowing the collapse of gas clouds, emitting or limiting the birth of new stars, but nothing stops it. So he and his colleagues published their findings recently in the Astrophysical Journal. The research is part of an observation campaign proposed and led by Crowe, a fourth-year undergraduate student at the University of Virginia who was recently named a Rhodes Scholar. Get out my way. All right, well, that's it, folks. We are going to use the James Webb Space Telescope to zoom in on the front page of ohmtown.com, where you should go and become a citizen. I would really like you to. I hope that you enjoy the website. We use it for all of our information overload needs. And believe me, there is a ton of news in there, none of the noise, because all of the noise comes from this guy. So go over and check it all out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.